All right, all right, all right. Good morning. David Dodge here today. We are going to do a little driving for dollars virtually with BatchDriven. Guys, I love BatchDriven. Been using BatchDriven for a couple months now, and they have some phenomenal products here. So give me 1 second to share my screen. Here we go. And let's see here. How do I add myself to the bottom of this? There we go. Just like so. uh, that they could use a little bit of work. So this property right here looks like it could use a little bit of landscaping. The roof looks like it has, some signs of wear on it. And, this could actually make for a good property. Now, my location is turned off. I don't think that matters today per se, but I do want to add this property. And usually this property will have a little dot on the top of it. So what am I missing here, folks? What am I missing? That is our night mode. That's our day mode. We do have our driving routes. There's our property area. So I don't think that's what I'm looking for, but I want to add this property. And it's not giving me the little dot. So something isn't working exactly right. And then if I click here, view on Google Maps, that's going to pull up actual Google Maps so we could see that property. But I want to do virtual driving for dollars. I don't really care to see that on Google Maps. I'm already seeing it right here through the BatchDriven app. All right. So why is it not letting me? And look, these folks are out here, it looks like, doing some work on their yard. So this property here is nice and well maintained. This one here, it's not letting me select it, and I wonder why. So if I click that, that's going to take me out. Oop, I definitely want to also display my past driving routes, which you can do by toggling that on right there. I love that little feature. And again, that's right here. If I had my location services on, I could click right here, and that would actually take me to where I was. But it's kind of irrelevant for today. And let's see here. Next, I want to go back to where I was. I was in the Crestwood area, which is here. So let's zoom back in on this. Let's find my little guy, and let's drop him right here. Oh, look at that. Oh, different area, no big deal. Okay, look, now my little dots are there again. They weren't there before, not sure what was going on. I do want to make sure that I have this little thing at the top toggled on, though. Green, when you click it, it's going to turn red. And what that's going to do is that it's actually going to allow it to start saving the route. See, it says route saved. So what I can start doing is I can start virtually driving for dollars, right? I can start driving through these neighborhoods, and I can do this anywhere that Google has essentially gone in and drove the neighborhoods. Now, what I'm looking for when I'm driving these neighborhoods is I'm looking for products that are showing signs of distress. And when I find these properties, you can see these little white dots above the properties. I can click on those dots and actually add these properties to a list that I can then either send a postcard to, or I can cold call or cold text and start marketing to find these motivated sellers. All right, so my internet's a little slow this morning. Sometimes it works a little better than other times, but it's working actually pretty decent here. So virtual driving for dollars is actually a great way to go about finding these leads. And I plan on having some of my virtual assistants assist me in this process starting this week. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be teaching them how to drive for dollars and how to find these motivated sellers. So what I'm actually looking for when I'm driving for dollars is I'm finding properties that are showing either signs of distress or look like they just haven't been updated or had any work done to them in a long time. And the reason is because we are looking to buy properties at a discount. And we are able to buy properties at a discount when we find sellers that are willing to sell because they need some sort of convenience from us, right? So really, we're looking for properties that are showing, signs of distress, or they're showing that, they haven't had a whole lot of work done to them recently. Now, in the bottom right corner, you're also going to notice that it's going to show you an image date. So you want to kind of keep an eye on that. And if you're within the last 2 years, you're typically going to be just fine. But if Google hasn't driven through that neighborhood in, let's say, the last 2 years, and let's say that picture is, 4 years old or 5 years old, it might not make for, the best virtual driving for dollars. So keep an eye on that date down in the bottom right-hand corner. So now that I am off driving for dollars, it looks like in this particular house here, it's not terrible looking, so we're not going to add that one just quite yet. But what we're going to do is we are going to just keep going, and we're going to try to find one that looks like it could use a little bit of work. I like the ones that have, overgrown trees, overgrown bushes. I like to see roofs that are stained. Of course, broken windows, or, just really any sign that a property might need some work. So let's keep going. Haven't found one yet, but that's okay. And again, the cool thing about the virtual driving for dollars is you can do this from anywhere in the world. And again, my goal is to teach some of our virtual assistants how they can go in and do this for us, right? So here's one that's, not terrible. It looks like, it could use some trimming of these bushes. Now, again, this image here, oh, look at this. It went to July 2012. So that's really, really long time ago, guys. That's like 8 years ago. So this particular street is probably not the best street to drive for dollars on, because Google hasn't taken pictures of it in quite some time. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to back out of that neighborhood, and I'm going to go and I'm going to drop myself in another neighborhood or another street that Google has been to more recently. So let's try this one here, and let's see if we can find something a little bit newer. This one is also June 2012. So this particular area that I dropped myself on isn't a great area to do driving for dollars in, because these images that I'm looking at are 8 years old, right? A lot of things could have happened in that time frame. So let's just move ourselves along, and let's go over here, and let's see if this area has a little bit more update. Now, this one was August 2011. Also, too far away, right? Too long ago for it to make for a good area to drive for dollars, especially virtually, right? If you were doing it boots on the ground, it really wouldn't matter, because that's real time, right? You're looking real time at these areas. Man, Crestwood just doesn't have updated pictures. This one is also August 2011. Google needs to get over there and do some street views, right? So Lindbergh High School is where I went to school. I know this area very well. Let's see if there are any updates over here. And let's see if this area has a little bit newer. So look at that. Now we are in June 19. So this is a much more, and this is Baptist Church Road. I know right where that's at. This is a much more updated area when we are doing our driving for dollars. So again, you want to make sure the little thing at the top is selected, right? Because what that'll do is that'll actually start tracking the routes. And the reason it's important that you're tracking the routes, let's go off this main road and pop into this neighborhood here. The reason that you want to track your routes is because if you have a team of people, you don't want them working on the same area, right? You want these drivers to know what's being driven. You also don't want to drive the same area too recently. So whenever we are driving and it's showing our route on the map, it's actually going to be color coded with different colors depending on how long ago we actually drove this street. All right, so here we are. We are coming up on some properties, and it looks like we're on Little Road. And I'm really looking for properties that are showing some sign of distress, right? We're looking for properties that could use some work. So this one here, it looks like it's, being pretty well taken care of. It's got a gravel driveway though. You know, not necessarily a great property, but not terrible. I'm not going to add that one just because it doesn't look too terribly distressed. This one here has a roof that has a lot of different colors on it. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad roof, but it looks like it's dated. And this one here could make for, a decent property. But again, it is not in terrible condition. Now, one thing I noticed is that my little white dots aren't appearing on my screen. And I'm just wondering that if this is my computer that's doing that or what, because a minute ago they weren't showing, and then I changed my area and they were showing, and now they are not showing again. So fun times over here at the, oh, there's my dots again. See, they're appearing. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe I just needed to let it load a little bit. Again, I am having a little bit of internet issues here this morning. So look at this one. This is a great one to add here, guys. The roof is multiple colors. It's meaning that it's probably got some mold on it, or it could be dated. The grass in this picture doesn't look terrible, but some of these bushes could be trimmed, right? And again, my image date in the bottom right hand corner is actually June of 19, right? So it's not too old. So what I want to do with this property is I want to go ahead and I want to add this property. And just like that, I'm going to be able to add this property. Now, I do want to change my folder. And what I want to do is I want to edit folders, and I want to create a new folder. And what we're going to do is we're going to call this folder, today is 2/9/21. And let's see here. This is going to be Lindbergh Schools. We're going to save this one here. And I want to make sure that the folder that I'm adding these to is going to be this one here. So you can see status that this one is new. And if I wanted to do an instant skip trace, I could by clicking right here. I could also manually add a phone or an email. I could set up an SMS campaign or a direct mail campaign right here. I could add tags to the property. And if I wanted to see details about the property, I could. So you have all types of cool options right here, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to add that property. You can see success property added successfully. So the goal today is to really just drive around virtually and find a couple properties that look like they could use a little bit of work, right? I'm looking for those distressed properties. And this is one of the best ways. Oh, guys, look at this one. This is a perfect example. All right. So can I zoom in a little bit? Okay, here you go. You got a bent gutter. You got all these bushes and trees. This tree definitely needs to be cut back. Look at the grass overgrowing the driveway. I mean, that needs to just be cleaned up and edged. Looks like the driveway itself might even be due for, an overcoat or a sealant. This is a good property. This is what we're looking for, right? This property right here could use some work. All right. So this is why we do the virtual driving for dollars. We do it to find these properties just like this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click add property, and I want to make sure that it's in the right folder. Now, also, if I wanted to change the status, I could, right? but I don't really care to change the status today. New is just fine because I have these in the folder that I want. And then I'm going to click right here, and that is going to add that property. So I've already added 2 properties to my list of my virtual driving for dollars already today. That one right there actually makes for a good one. Now, I am not going to be doing any real-time skip tracing or setting up campaigns for direct mail or SMS, because again, right now, I'm really just kind of wanting to add some properties to my list of today's driving for dollars. And once I have a decent number of properties in there, then I can do that marketing in bulk. And I prefer to do it in bulk just because it's going to be a little bit faster. All right, so we can keep driving down this street. And again, we are looking for properties that are showing sign of distress. And it looks like these guys here do construction work. They have pieces of equipment in their yard, which is good. So let's keep going. Let's see if we can't jump way down the street. Hey, look at that. That's cool. And see if we can't stumble across a couple more here, guys. Now, when I'm out doing driving for dollars with this app, and a cool thing about BatchDriven is they have an app as well. And the app is great when you're actually out doing this in real time, right? The app makes it super easy. But when you are virtually driving for dollars, just use a web browser, right? Just keep it simple. Don't overthink it. Use a web browser, and you're going to be able to see anything and everything that Google has essentially run. Now, I just noticed that when I jumped from that one street to this street, my image date went to May 2012. So I don't necessarily want to go down that street because these images that I'm looking at, they're too outdated. So again, you definitely want to keep your eye on the image date in the bottom corner. Again, I'm back on June 2019. So this is relatively newer, right? This is definitely within the last 2 years. And look at this one. This house here looks like it could use a little bit of work too. It's distressed. You know, the grass doesn't look that great. You got bushes and stuff on the side here. So let's see if we can zoom in and see anything on the front. Yeah, again, you got some weeds in the front. You got some trees that look like they need to be, cut back. And we want to add this property as well. So let's get in front of it and take a look here. And I'm looking for my little white dot. And I don't see it appearing on this one. And again, this is probably user error that I'm not seeing. It's something I'm not doing right. That's the old one there that was added. Okay. Or no, actually, I think if I select that, yeah, that's the last one that we did there. Okay. So something I'm not doing right to get my little white dot to select it. Might be because my internet's slow. So not a big deal. Why don't we just move along to another area? Let's go over to, let's go over to this little area right here. See where this drops me. All right, so this dropped me in a parking lot, it looks like. Can I go over here? Boom, I can, just like that. And this is one of the coolest parts about the virtual driving for dollars. See my little white dots appeared again? Again, I don't know what I was doing wrong, but you got to have those little white dots right there in order to select the properties. So this one here actually looks like it could be a decent deal for us, right? It doesn't look terrible. And not in all situations are the houses going to look terrible. But look at that roof. That roof looks like it could use some work. But bummer, guys. I'm looking at an image date of September 2011. This is a 10-year-old picture. So this data that I'm looking at on this one really isn't that reliable just because this image is just way too old. So let's see here. Let's see if we can't jump down to the south area. I'm still in my Limburg schools, which is good because I won't need to mess with my tags. And let's drop my guy right there and see if we can't get a more updated. So here is an image date of October 2016. And you can see the shadow right there of the Google car that is driving through these. So with it being October 2016, that is also a little too far away for me. So let's see if we can't find something that's a little bit newer. So how about right here? See if Mattis Road has a little updated. So this is August 2018. It's a little bit newer. Again, I like to be within 2 years. And man, April 2012. I am just not having good luck this morning with finding a good neighborhood or a good route that has updated pictures. No problem though. You just got to stay on it. So let's go over here to Kennerly and let's take our little man and let's drop him right here and see if we can't find something a little bit more updated. Here you go. June 2019. So look at this. I'm in a nicer neighborhood over here now. A little bit bigger houses. And we are going to, again, look for properties that are going to show some signs of motivation. Okay. And let's drive down this way. So these houses here look like they're newer construction. They were built more recently than the previous ones that you guys saw. But that doesn't mean that some of these may or may not be distressed. And all of these actually look pretty good. The people in this neighborhood, they take care of their properties. And there's really no right or wrong area to drive for dollars in, guys. I learned that a long time ago. Sometimes you will stumble across a great area where you have a property that just hasn't been taken care of. If you are driving for dollars in areas where the homes are older, on average, you're going to find more properties that are going to look distressed because, there's more time from the time they were built or maybe they had been rehabbed last until the present day. So there's more opportunity there. When you get into neighborhoods like this one here, where the homes, you can tell they're newer, right? These homes probably are anywhere between, I would guess, 10 and 20 years old. The odds of you finding or stumbling across a motivated seller or a distressed property is going to be a little bit less. So let's back out of that neighborhood and again, try to find a neighborhood that is going to have a little bit more old or a little bit more dated. Let's just drop ourselves on this little one-way street or this little dead-end street here and see if this is older homes. Boom, this is older homes. So this was a good play going down this street here. Now, again, I'm tracking all of these areas that I'm driving. So if I was to use this app on my phone at another time, it would show these routes. Also, if I wanted to drive for dollars virtually, once I save this particular efforts, these drives, then this will add to my map as well. Now, man, bummer, image date, April 2012. So not necessarily good pictures here that we're looking at because these are essentially 8, maybe 9 years old. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to actually change up my area. I'm still going to stay within the Limburg School District, but let's see if we can't find some areas with a little bit older homes. Maybe if we go over here Let's just try this little area over here off of Garber. And this looks like this could be some older homes, but bummer. My image date is, again, old. So we really just want to find some areas that we know Google has been to recently. So let's just try this. We're going to go to this major road here. And this is also June of 2012. Looks like some decent homes, but the image date it's too old. That's not going to work. So sometimes you're going to have a little trial and error. Sometimes you're going to get lucky and you're just going to find a good area that is going to have recent pictures. See, again, June 2012. So maybe what we do is let's change up our area. That typically seems to be a good way. So here we go. Here is Wells. I know this area. Tesson. You got Butler Hill. Let's take it down and see if this little area here is going to give me more updated areas. Man, back again to 2012. I am not having a ton of luck today with finding places on my map that have updated images. And you can actually see the watermark right there. It says at 2019 Google, but my image date is showing April 2012. So that just must be a watermark on the photo. But again, my image date is April 2012. So this is just too old, guys. This isn't going to make for a good virtual driving for dollars area because the image date is April 2012. So one thing that you can do is you can find these particular areas that don't have updated Google imagery. And what you can do is you can go drive those areas manually, right? If you are able to find some areas, which there are plenty, right? You just got to spend some time doing this. But if you can find some areas that have a more recent Google driving area, then those, again, are going to make the best areas for the virtual driving for dollars. So this is going to be a little bit of trial and error, but that's okay. You can do this in the evenings when you're hanging out. So again, this one would actually make for a decent, both of these right here, for decent rentals, decent fix and flips. But the problem is my image date is September 2011. It's just too far away for me to have confidence in that particular area. So here's what I want to do. I want to go up and I want to do more of kind of similar to where I live, right? And I live right over here off of Bope Road in Des Peres. And I know there's a lot of decent opportunities for fix and flip. So I'm just going to drop myself right over here, just basically a couple streets away from where my neighborhood is. This is a couple neighborhoods across. And you can see, man, look how clear these images are. It's just amazing. And bummer, I'm still at October 2011. And it just doesn't make sense for me to drive virtually looking at pictures that are that old, right? You want to find more recent ones. So one thing I would suggest that is if you find an area that has older images and it's, maybe it's a widespread area, those are going to make for great areas to actually get in the car and use batch manually, right, in real time versus the virtual aspect of it. The virtual aspect of it is very helpful for a couple reasons. One, you outsource this virtual driving for dollars. You can hire people to do it, or if you have virtual assistants and they're in between maybe cold calling or in between whatever tasks you have them doing, they can go in here and they can do this virtually. Also, you can do this from anywhere in the world, right? So that's another good advantage of the virtual drive-in for dollars. And I would say another good advantage is there's really not a good or not a bad time to do it, right? So let's say that you're up late and it's 11 or 12 o'clock in the evening and it's dark. Going out and virtually driving for dollars in the evening at 9 or 10 or 11 o'clock at night, it's going to be very difficult. Why? Because you're not going to have good visibility of seeing these properties. But Google, when they are doing their street views, they're always doing it during the daytime. So here's September 2014 in this little neighborhood. Again, that's a little old, right? We want something that's going to be a little newer. So maybe we'll just go over here into pair. And we'll just drop ourselves right here to see if this is a little newer. But what you can do, if it's nighttime where you live. So this is 2015. Still probably a little too old, right? But if it's nighttime where you're at and you're just sitting on the couch in the evening and you are bored, you're watching TV, right? Why not get that laptop out and just start cruising up and down the streets around your house, right? There's really no bad time to do this. Another thing that you can do is if you are doing a rehab already in an area, or looking at a rental, or you just bought a rental in an area, you can virtually drive up and down all those streets that are in proximity to the one that you had just bought. So this one here, again, image date May 2015, not necessarily recent enough for me to really be super excited about that. So Slim, the tech guy gamer, said send feedback to Google. That's what I did. Almost all around my area says 2012 or later. Okay, right on. Not a bad idea. Sending feedback over. I'll definitely consider that. How much is BatchDriven? Slim says, if you pick one software to use, what would you pick? And I would definitely decide to pick this area, or BatchDriven. BatchDriven is a phenomenal software. I really, really, really love this. Hey guys, I got somebody at my front door. I got to go answer this. I'll be back in a jiffy. One sec. Let me end my stream real quick, but give me one sec. All right, guys, I got an inspector here to look at my gas. So we're going to go ahead and end this stream today, guys. I hope you learned something about BatchDriven. Again, great tool to drive for dollars virtually. If you guys are interested in using BatchDriven, use code Dave or click the link below this video that is batchdriven.com/Dave. And the reason I promote this link here is because you can get a 7-day free trial of this software, as well as 50 free skip traces, guys. 50 free skip traces. Check it out, and I look forward